Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Jim Bob Duggar's family friend Jim and Bobby lose custody of kids. Counting on alums, Michelle and Jim Bob Duggar have been friends with many families from their church over the years. Some of them even had their own TV show, such as the Bates family. Jim and Bobby Holt are also longtime pals of the Duggars. However, they recently got into trouble with the law, resulting in them losing custody of their children. Keep reading to see what happened. Counting on. Who are Jim Bob Duggar's family friend Jim and Bobby Holt? Jim and Bobby spoke about their relationship with the Duggar family in the documentary, Shiny Happy People, Duggar Family Secrets. According to the married couple, they were once good friends with Jim Bob and Michelle. Jim and Jim Bob's relationship goes way back to middle school. But Jim and Bobby revealed that they began to distance themselves from the Duggars since Josh's CSAM arrest. Additionally, at the time they learned about the scandal, Josh was allegedly dating their oldest daughter. March 30, 2003, when we found out, I went out to the field and just bawled, Jim added. Jim and Bobby Holt lose custody of kids. According to reports, Jim and Bobby Holt have lost custody of some of their two minor children after an Arkansas judge deemed the parents unfit. In April 2023, Boyd filed an order of protection against her husband to protect her 11 children, but she eventually dismissed the petition in December 2023. Jim and Bobby's son, Spencer, then filed for emergency guardianship for 3 of his siblings in January 2024, citing abuse. According to reports, Jim has engaged in severe physical and mental abuse of the minor children, and Spencer and his older siblings were witnesses and have also experienced the same thing when they were younger. The court believed that Bobye enabled Jim's abusive behavior towards their children by dismissing her petition last year. As a result, both parents lost custody of their 2 younger minors. Reports also state that Spencer and Christian have taken actions to alienate their siblings from their parents. On September 26, the court granted the petition for Christian to be the guardian of the 2 children. Counting on Jim and Bobby Holt's defense. Despite the claims, Jim and Bobby continued to defend themselves. They said that some rules were broken throughout their trials. One of them was how the 2 orders of protection were consented to without an evidentiary hearing being held. However, it seems the 2 can't do anything about the court's decision. They were also asked to continue child support for the minor children. In the heart of America's Bible Belt, where strong family values reign supreme and the Duggar family name is synonymous with faith and family, the devastating news of Jim and Bobby Holt losing custody of their children has sent shockwaves through the tight-knit community. Longtime friends of the Duggars, Jim and Bobby Holt, once upheld as paragons of conservative Christian living, now find themselves at the center of a heartbreaking scandal that challenges their carefully curated image. For years, Jim and Bobby Holt had been respected members of the same conservative Christian circle as Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. Their large family, devotion to homeschooling, and commitment to a strict faith-based lifestyle drew parallels to the Duggars themselves. But behind the scenes, a different reality was unfolding, one that would ultimately lead to the unimaginable, losing custody of their children. A friendship steeped in faith and tradition. Jim Bob Duggar and Jim Holt had been friends since childhood, growing up in the same Arkansas town and attending the same church. Their bond was forged through shared values, faith, family, and a strong commitment to conservative Christian teachings. As they grew older, both men started families that mirrored one another in many ways. They married devout Christian women, had large broods of children, and embraced the homeschooling movement as a means of shielding their offspring from the perceived dangers of the secular world. The Duggars and Holts were frequent companions. Their children played together, attended church gatherings, and were featured on social media posts that showcased their idyllic lifestyles. Jim and Bobby's children, like the Duggar kids, were homeschooled and held to strict religious standards. Modesty, purity, and obedience were pillars of their upbringing. For years, they appeared to be living a life of faith and purpose, free from the distractions of mainstream culture. Cracks in the facade. However, as with many families that present a picture-perfect image to the outside world, there were cracks in the Holt's carefully maintained facade. Rumors began to swirl within their community, whispers of tensions within the Holt household that belied the image they projected. Insiders spoke of the immense pressure the children were under to conform to their parents' rigid expectations and the strict discipline they endured when they fell short. It was within this atmosphere of increasing tension that the unthinkable happened. Jim and Bobby lost custody of their children. The details were murky at first, but soon a clearer picture emerged. The allegations were severe enough to prompt Child Protective Services to intervene, leading to the removal of the children from the Holt home. The once pristine reputation of Jim and Bobby was now tainted with scandal, and the future of their family hung in the balance. The role of faith and control. For Jim and Bobby, their faith was the cornerstone of their family life. They believed in strict adherence to biblical principles, often interpreting scripture in a way that reinforced their control over their children's lives. Homeschooling was a key part of this control, allowing them to oversee every aspect of their children's education, friendships, and exposure to the outside world. But as the children grew older, some began to push back against the rigid control imposed upon them. Reports of rebellion surfaced, with a few of the older children expressing a desire to break free from the confines of their insular upbringing. It was during this period of unrest that outside forces began to take notice. Family members and community members who had long kept their concerns quiet began to voice their worries about the emotional and physical well-being of the Holt children. According to sources close to the situation, it was not just a matter of strict parenting but potentially abusive behavior. Allegations of excessive corporal punishment, isolation, and emotional manipulation were reportedly at the heart of the custody battle. The details remain confidential due to the sensitive nature of the case, but what is known is that the welfare of the children was deemed to be at serious risk by authorities. The fallout. Community and Duggar connection. As news of the custody loss spread, the community around the Holts was left reeling. Those who had long looked up to Jim and Bobby as examples of faithful living were forced to reckon with the possibility that things were not as they seemed. Friends and fellow church members were divided, some rushing to the couple's defense, while others distanced themselves from the unfolding scandal. Jim Bob Duggar and his family were also drawn into the controversy. Having been closely linked with the Holts for decades, the Duggars found themselves facing scrutiny as well. Jim Bob, known for his protective stance toward his family's reputation, has reportedly been advising the Holts behind the scenes, but publicly, the Duggar family has remained tight-lipped. The loss of custody by the Holts raises questions about the broader conservative Christian homeschooling movement and whether the intense control it promotes can sometimes lead to harmful outcomes. The children's fate. As Jim and Bobby Holt fight to regain custody of their children, the fate of their family remains uncertain. The children have been placed with relatives, and it is unclear whether they will return to their parents or remain under the guardianship of other family members. In the meantime, Jim and Bobby have begun legal proceedings to contest the decision, claiming that they are victims of a government overreach targeting religious families. In public statements, Jim and Bobby have maintained their innocence, insisting that they are loving parents who only want what is best for their children. They have framed the situation as a battle for religious freedom, casting themselves as martyrs in a war against Christian values. Supporters within their church and community have rallied around them, with some organizing prayer circles and fundraisers to aid in their legal fight. But for others, the situation is far more complex. Those who have witnessed the Holt's parenting style firsthand question whether their brand of faith-driven control crossed a line into abuse.